too.
Cool.
All right.
Cool. So we got some questions that we were thinking. The first question is, I guess, what's flipped learning? So what do you think?
Yeah, and I have just kind of getting into this, and I have some ideas of what it is, and I don't know if it's complete about the full definition of flipped learning, but my thought is moving some of the information transfer that may have been done in the classroom to an online platform or something they can do at home, and it hopefully, I think, would be the goal to save some time in class that you could move on to other stuff and hopefully get to that next level of thinking that may have taken you longer in class.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. The way I think about it too is that with the flipped learning, it takes time to process anything. If you tell me that the sky is blue and I never knew that before, I'm gonna have to take some time to actually let it sink in before I can use that in some other thinking.
Right. And
I find in my classroom when I ask students questions or if I teach them something and then I want to build upon that, it takes many of the kids a while to wrestle with just that first idea that I had before we can jump to some larger questions that springboard off of that. But it seems also that if we give the students that information the night before or whatever, they have 8, 10, 12 hours now to, depending on, maybe some of them have 4, depending on what time they watch the video. But they have time to actually let it sit, let the information sit, and then all of a sudden these questions can start forming. So that way, when they come into the classroom, we can ask these higher level questions and start diving into more complex, issues or whatever that we can't in a classroom where give a lesson for 20 minutes and hey, let's talk about really, really interesting things that spring off of this. Well, you really don't even understand it yet.
Yeah, it's almost too quick of a jump sometimes to get into it.
And so for me, I almost feel like the flipped learning, it gives them an opportunity to kind of sit with the material for a minute or two. I always have kids come into my classroom the next day saying, well, what if this, what if that, talking about what we learned yesterday. And I would love to be on that topic again today. Right, but we gotta go. We can't talk about that. We talked about that yesterday. Maybe I can field a few questions, but I don't have 20 minutes to talk about it. But if they already got it the night before, we have 20 minutes to talk about it because that day is scheduled before talking about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good plan, and the implementation is the part that I think might be. I know for me it seems a little overwhelming at the moment, but we're starting small with our lab videos, so I think it's a good start at the beginning anyway.
Yeah, that puts us right into the question number 2, which is how can we use it in the class, and how you want to talk about how we've been using it so far?
So well, we've just been using these lab prep videos. So again, you come in for a lab and you have to introduce what you're doing. Now granted, you could do it the day before, but again, you're taking class time up. So in this case, you give them a video, shows the setup, talks about some of the processes, what you're looking for, maybe some of how to do parts of it, but it gives them an idea of what's going on. So when they walk in, they know the equipment, should know the setup, and it should save some time. So they can get right at it, get to the important stuff, the data collection and calculations for us. And I don't know. So far, I think it's worked fairly well.
Yeah, and even those questions that would typically happen 5 minutes before the bell because the kids are finally understanding how to use the equipment. Now they can start asking those questions 5 minutes into the class instead.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, we've only done 3 videos or so, but I remember that I had one instance where I overslept and had to call you and say, could you cover my first period class? I'm on my way in, and you show up and the kids already knew you. They knew who you were from the videos.
Right.
And you were able to start the class right off the bat. They knew what to do.
Yep.
And when I showed up, 10 minutes into the class, 15 most,
Maybe,
everybody was already working. you didn't have to worry about are you our sub,
Right.
unless there was a kid who didn't watch the video.
Yeah, which there was one who asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Get yourself up.
and you know since we had been working together, they knew who you were, they trusted you. You knew what the lab was.
Right.
They did too, and so
Yeah.
you just said go.
Yeah, and that was an instance where everything went really smooth, and the kids who watched the video, they knew what to do, and I think that was a huge time saver.
Yeah.
It would have been dead time otherwise if I didn't know what you were doing for one, or if there was an actual sub in there. You know, the kids, they'll take advantage of that too. So it was a good opportunity to see it working.
Yeah, I feel like it worked really well. I was so impressed because when I called you up and I said, "Help," I thought to myself, "Oh, the kids are already going to know them if they watch the video."
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how we're using it now.
Yeah.
Do you have any? What do you think? Like, do you have any visions for the future?
Yeah, I mean,
How you might use this?
Yeah, well, I love that starting with the lab prep videos. Because one, it gets the kids used to it, and then I would like to maybe some tutorial videos, especially when we get into some really tough topics or tough parts of topics. The extended things that maybe they want some extra use on to work on or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I think extending it into other parts of the class outside of the lab for us. I would like to start building a library of videos, and so the kids know that they're in there. And if they're looking at a topic and maybe need some extra help, or if you can assign some things ahead of time that they can go and check out beforehand, just like with the labs, I think it could be really beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. That's my vision of the future with this as well, to have a library where, if we're dealing with forces, and those problems are hard, you've got to do the up and down and left and right and cosine and sine, and it's overwhelming for a student, especially if they're scrambling to get it all down in class. And, part of the beauty of the video is that you can pause. And if you miss something, you can totally rewind and not have to worry about looking, like that person in the classroom. Oh, Mr. Martin, I missed what you said because I was daydreaming. You don't have to worry about it. If you were daydreaming, just hit the rewind button, and you can do the problem 7 times if you want. You start it back from the beginning and do the process over and over and over again until you feel comfortable. Yeah, I definitely think I'm looking forward to that. And I mean, who knows for the future? I'd like to eventually have some kind of classroom prep, like delivering maybe a 10-minute get ready for the lesson coming, or here's what we're going to be talking about. Here's how it works. Maybe we can find some videos on YouTube and splice them in and whatnot. And that way the kids, for their homework, they go and watch a 10-minute video that kind of tells them everything that they're going to learn about, and it has already been scripted, so there's no dead time. I know for me in class, I'm going, every once in a while, or it's not, I don't say it as well as I would want to on the first time, and I have to say it again, and and to have something that's like scripted, like perfectly ready to go, where it says what I want it to say
the way you want to say it,
right? And that takes a couple times, a couple of the same lessons. So I say, oh, I said it really well this time. To have a 10-minute video that gets everything across to the kids, and then they can come in the next day and we can field higher order questions and try more complex situations. That would be my vision for the future.
Yeah, and even in the idea of a lesson prep, you can set up lessons in the sense that maybe you ask some questions to get them thinking about coming into the next day. For the next lesson, start thinking about this, and this, or why does this happen, or what do you think about this, and be ready to talk about it. And you could start off a class with, all right, let's talk about those questions, which could lead into what you're doing for the day.
So those questions were in the video that they watched the night before. That's way cool.
And just get them thinking. It's just about getting them to think.
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds great, Mr. T. Like that gets me really excited about doing this, especially with you, because I never would have thought about that. And
good stuff.
Yeah, and that's just so. I feel like that's just the perfect thing to put in a video at the very end, saying, "Listen, we're going to talk about this stuff. Come in with some questions. To just get them ready to go." at least at the very least, there will have been at least been thinking about it. When they're coming to class, they'll know, oh yeah, we're going to talk about this. I haven't really thought about it too much, but really, I kind of have because it's been in my subconscious.
Because when you introduce something right away in class, like you said, they don't have time to let it sit and just marinate in their brain for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and once they have some time, can process it better and at least contribute. I think they'd be more likely to contribute sometimes in that sense. Which, you know, just opens up the class, I think, even more. So.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last question that we had was, is it helping?
Yeah.
Yes, no. What do you think? I think we kind of said a few things about that.
Yeah, and again, like our sample size is kind of small.
Yeah,
but
3 videos.
Yeah, right.
3 times.
Yeah, and on a limited scale, I think it is helping. I think it could be better, but I think part of that is, for me anyway, as far as how I implement it and how, you know, it's only been a couple times and the kids are still getting used to it, but they've been watching the videos. I've been getting positive feedback, and I mean, in your case, we talked about already with your lab. I mean, that was definitely a success.
Yeah, that couldn't have happened if we didn't have a video ready to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, I think it's working.
And the number 1 rule, right? Always have some kind of fun thing in the video.
Well, yeah, that's
something
that's
that
nice.
almost like a storyline fun thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're trying, right?
Come on, you got to keep it interesting. Somehow.
Yeah. And it keeps it fun for us too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Yeah, that was a good interview. Right?
Yeah. I think so.